Hey there, it's Clara here. Welcome to my channel. Get ready for some crochet magic as I show you how to make an awesome boho and hippie crochet vest. I'll walk you through each step, from the back panel to the cool mesh stitch on the front. We're gonna add some serious boho vibes to your wardrobe. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on these fun and creative projects. Let's get hooking and have a blast together. For this project, I'm going to be using this velvet. This is number 5, bulky, and it's 100% polyester. This is 300 grams of yarn. And for that, I'm using this 6.5 millimeter crochet hook, measuring tape, scissors, and stitch markers. And this is size inclusive, so you're gonna measure from your shoulder to your shoulder. For size small, I'm making 35 chains, so let's start making that. You measure from your shoulder to your shoulder, and then you make a chain. Approximately 35 for size small, and you will increase according to your measure. Now we're going to start with the first row, and we're going to make chain 1 and chain 2. And in the third chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, we're gonna make a double crochet. The first chain 2 counts as double crochet throughout. And now we're gonna continue with double crochet across, and we're gonna end up with 36 double crochets. To start with the second row, we're gonna chain 2, same thing, and these 2 counts as double crochet, turn our work, and we're gonna make a double crochet on top of every double crochet from the previous row. And same thing, we're gonna end up with 36 double crochets. And always count your stitches, make sure you have the same number of stitches at the end. And yeah, you're gonna continue across with double crochets, and this pattern is going to repeat in all this panel. I end up with 5 rows, and this is approximately 15 inches, but that depends on the length you want it. If you want it shorter, you make less rows. If you want it longer, of course you increase some rows. Then we have to continue crocheting as many rows as you want. I just finished here the back panel, and the next step to do is just measure your shoulder. Mine is approximately 4 inches, and you're gonna be using some stitch markers. We're gonna start with chain 2, and this counts as double crochet, same thing, and we're gonna make 1 double crochet in each stitch until we get to the stitch marker. So let's do that. And here I'm making the last double crochet right where the stitch marker is, and I end up with 10 double crochets. That of course is going to change depending on the measurement of your shoulder, but this would be approximately what you will end up with for size small, and of course just adapt it to your body. Okay, now we got here where the stitch marker is, and we're gonna chain 2. We turn our work. This chain 2 counts as double crochet. We're gonna chain 1, and then we're gonna skip one and we're gonna make a double crochet in the next stitch. We're gonna continue with the same pattern, chain one, skip one, and in the next one double crochet, again chain one, skip one, and in the next one double crochet. And then we're gonna do this in all this part. And here, if you can see, I don't have an extra chain, but doesn't matter since I have just one next double crochet. I'm just gonna go ahead and make one double crochet right there on top. I'm not skipping one, I'm not making chain one. You just adapt it to what the measure you have. And now we're gonna continue to the next row. We're gonna make chain one and two. We always start with chain two, and that counts as double crochet. We turn our work, and if you notice here, this part is where your neck goes. The front part of the top is going to start increasing right here because our shapes is this way, right? So what we're gonna do is right when we get to next to the neck area, we're gonna start increasing. And here we're gonna make a double crochet on top of the double crochet from the previous row. Now we're gonna chain one, and we're gonna make a double crochet on top of the double crochet from the previous row. So we continue with this mesh stitch right here, chain one, skip one, and double crochet on top of the double crochet from the previous row. Again, chain one, skip this, and double crochet on top of the double crochet from the previous row. When we're getting to this area, you have to remember that you are going to start increasing because of the shape, right? So we're going to chain one, and then we're going to skip this, and we're going to go to the very last stitch or very last chain two, which counts as double crochet, and there we're going to make a double crochet one. You're going to chain one, and you're going to make in the same stitch another double crochet because you're increasing right there. If you can see, we have two stitches coming out of the same stitch, and that's the increase. That's what's gonna start shaping up this area in the front, and that's what we want. Always in this area next to the neck, we want to increase. Let's make chain two here to start the next row. We're gonna turn our work, and since here is close to the neck, we're gonna make chain one, and in the same stitch we're gonna do a double crochet, and that is the increase we just made right there. Now we're gonna chain one, we're gonna skip this chain space, and we're gonna make a double crochet on top of the double crochet from the previous row. Chain one, skip this chain space, and double crochet on top of the double crochet from the previous row. Again, chain one, double crochet, chain one, skip one, double crochet. You continue with the exact same pattern. Chain one, skip one, double crochet, and remember, right at the end we're making two double crochets right at the end. you're gonna make another double crochet right on top of the double crochet. From the previous row, you end up with 2 double crochets right at the border. So you can see here it's already shaping up the front panel. It's going this way, and you always increase right in this area next to the neck. So let's continue like that. Let's go to the next row, and then you're gonna have to, you continue with the same pattern. So chain 1, chain 2, you turn your work. So another double crochet right there. And then you continue with mesh stitch, which is same thing, chain 1, skip this chain space and double crochet on top of the double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet on top of the double crochet. Let's finish this row, and you will continue exactly the same way. Chain 1, skip chain space, and double crochet on top of the double crochet. Again, let's chain 1, and we're gonna finish this row right here. Okay, you chain 1, skip chain 1 space, double crochet right on top of the double crochet. Then you're gonna do chain 1, gonna skip this chain space, and in the chain 2, from the beginning chain 2, you're going to make a double crochet right there. You're gonna chain 1. Remember, in the last stitch we always make an increase, and in the same space we're gonna make another double crochet for the increase. You always do that to continue shaping this area and increasing that way. Here you can see how this part is shaping up, right? And we're gonna continue increasing until we get to the middle of the panel, because the other panel is gonna be done the same way. It's gonna start increasing, and until we reach both panels, we have to stop to then continue like straight with straight panels in this area. But how do we know until we have to stop increasing? You have to just measure the panel. Mine measures about 15 inches. So 7.5 would be the middle, right? I'm gonna measure how much this is right now, and this is about 5. So I have to continue increasing until it measures about 7.5 inches. Which would be about here. I would say I have to do 3 more rows, but you continue increasing, and then you measure until it gets right into the middle of the panel. I will do about 3 more, and I'll show you how it is. So here in this part, I'm just going to chain 1, chain 2. Same thing. I'm gonna turn my work. I'm gonna chain 1, and I'm gonna make a double crochet in the same stitch to make the increase right there. Chain 1, and then I'm gonna skip this chain space. I'm gonna make a double crochet on top of the double crochet from the previous row. So I'm just continuing with the same pattern, and I'm gonna make about 3 more rows with this one. Would be 1, 2, 3, and then I'll stop, and I continue measuring until I have about 7.5, the measure of this panel, and then I have to stop. I just finished here the part where I'm increasing, and I'm gonna stop with this increasing right here, and I end up with 8 rows, 7 rows of mesh stitch, plus 1 row of just double crochets, and this measures about 7.5 inches. Remember, just half. You have to make it exactly half of the measure of the whole panel. At this point, I'm just going to continue with the panel, but the panel is just going to be straight right here. Same thing, chain 2, that counts as double crochet. And now we're going to double crochet on top of the double crochet that we're always making right at the border. So it's going to be 2 double crochets right there. Now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to continue with the same pattern, double crochet on top of the double crochet from the previous row. We're going to continue with the same pattern of mesh stitch. The only difference is that we are not increasing here anymore because it's just going to go straight. So I'm here almost at the end. Remember, we have the increase right here. We're gonna chain 1 and make double crochet in the very last stitch, very last double crochet from the previous row. And there we have our last stitch. Now we're gonna chain 2. We're gonna turn our work. In this part, since we're not increasing here, we're gonna chain 1. We're gonna skip this chain 1 space, and we're gonna make a double crochet on top of the double crochet from the previous row. Chain 1, double crochet, skip this one, and double crochet. Chain 1, we're going to continue with this panel straight until we get the same length we have in the back panel. So I'll meet you guys when you finish this panel. So guys, here I just finished the panel, and I end up with 25 rows. That is exactly the same 25 rows I have for the back panel. And now we have to start with the other side, the other front panel, which is exactly the same steps we did for this panel. So here I just finished the second front panel. Now I'm just using some stitch markers and assembling this part because I'm going to start sewing the sides. At this point, it's a good practice to wear it and see if everything fits. And for this armhole, I left 9 inches, about 9 inches. And depending on your body, just increase a little bit, but for size small, that's what I'm doing. And now we're gonna start with the slip stitch method for joining these two parts. So let's start doing that. Here I'm gonna insert my hook right at the corner, both panels, and I'm gonna join the yarn, pull through. I'm gonna make a chain so I make sure it's very secure, the yarn right there. And for the joining, so I'm gonna insert my hook right in the chain space, right in the hole, yarn over, pull through, and then I'm gonna insert it right at this point where the two stitches join in both sides, one and in the back panel. yarn over, pull through and pull through again in the hole, and then right where the two stitches join, right in that point in both panels, yarn over, pull through and pull through. And you don't have to face right side or wrong side, it doesn't matter in this because each side end up being the same. So yeah, let's continue with the slip stitch method, and I'll meet you when you get to this point, and then we're gonna go ahead and do the other side. So I'm here right at the end where the stitch marker is, and I'm gonna just stop right there, and I'm gonna continue sewing the other side, and everything is done. So let's go to the other side. I finished already sewing the sides. Now I'm gonna turn it inside out because I want this part of the joining to go inside. Right where I finish the increasing in this area, right at this point where I start crocheting just straight, I'm gonna join my yarn right there, and I'm gonna make about 25 chains. And after making 25 chains, I'm just gonna go to the second chain from the hook, insert my hook right there, yarn over and pull through. I'm gonna do a slip stitch right there, and I'm gonna continue making a slip stitch along the string until I get to this point, and I'm gonna repeat exactly the same on the other side. I'm attaching the yarn over, and I just pull it through, and then yarn over and pull it through. Now that the yarn is attached, I'm just going to get the two strands, and I'm gonna start wrapping them around same number of times. So let's say this is 1, and I'm gonna do it in a tight, very tight way. 2, 3, 4, and right now I'm just going to pinch right there, and I'm gonna make a knot. Let it go. I'm just gonna make one right in the corner, one on top of the double crochet. I'm not making one in the chain space, and I'm just gonna go around doing exactly the same thing. Make sure you do the same number of wrapping around, which I make 25 here, and yeah, that's about it. So let's start doing that around.